Aloha Sidzillions! Welcome back to another video. For episode 68 of This Nine of Stars, I am, to no one's surprise if you've been following the series, doing another movie review. This time for the live action version of DreamWorks' How to Train Your Dragon. This video will be containing spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie and you care about that kind of thing, this is your last chance to click off. And because this movie is basically a shot-by-shot remake of the original animation, it's also obviously a spoilers for that one. So again, this is your last warning to click off. My review of the movie will be chronological. I did manage to take some notes while in the theater. I've got the Google Keep account pulled up on my handy iPad. But before I get into the first thing that I wrote, I'd like to do a quick overall plot summary. The film takes place on the Isle of Berk. For generation upon generation, Vikings and dragons have been at war there. Nowadays, there is a boy named Hiccup. He always wanted to be part of this war, help fight in the battle and kill a dragon, but is always told, no you cannot, no you cannot. One night, he disobeys orders, brings out his invention, and claims to shoot down a night fury. The next day, he's walking through the woods, trying to find where that dragon fell, assuming it did in fact fall. When he finds it, he can't bring himself to stab it, kill it, so he releases it. In the coming days, he befriends that dragon and learns a lot about dragons. Turns out that a lot of what was written in the giant book of dragons that his tribe has is just plain wrong, plain false, misinformation. By the end of the movie, Hiccup has now changed his culture and ended the war. Dragons are helpers, dragons are pets, dragons are friends. The first note goes back to what I literally just said as part of my plot summary. It is pointing out that Hiccup wants to join the fight, the battle, the war. He wants to help and kill a dragon. He says, quote, "I see a dragon and I have to kill it." His dad responds with, quote, "You are many things, but dragon killer is not one of them." So Hiccup is walking through the woods, and like I said in the plot summary, he's looking to find the night fury that he had shot down during the previous night's fighting. When he does find the night fury, all tangled up in rope, he pulls out his knife and prepares to stab it, prepares to kill it, as he has been told to do his whole life. All he knows is that dragons are bad. But he cannot bring himself to do it. Maybe it's the look in the dragon's eyes, maybe it's his own personality, but he is a sensitive softie and he cannot do it, so he releases the night fury to go free. When he gets home from being in the woods with the night fury, there is something that he wants to tell his dad, but he's not able to because his dad has some news that he ends up sharing first. And that news that his dad has is that Hiccup is finally going to be allowed to get what he's always wanted. He's going to go to dragon training and learn how to slay the dragons. He's going to finally get what he wanted. But the irony of this whole thing is that he's getting what he wants as soon as he no longer wants it. His news for the dad would have been, "I don't want to kill a dragon because I can't. I have released a dragon from captivity, blah, blah, blah." So the irony of him going to battle, which he always wanted, as soon as he doesn't actually want to go to battle, because it's proven he can't kill like he thought he could. So one of the things that Hiccup learns in dragon training is that dragons always go for the kill. Therefore, you have to strike first. You be the one to kill so that you're not the one who's dead. But that can't be a true statement because when Hiccup didn't kill the Night Fury and he released it, clearly he's still alive. That Night Fury did not kill him. It just ran away. Also, Hiccup is told that nobody has met a Night Fury and lived. Yet at this point in the movie, he's met a Night Fury twice. The same one has not killed him or harmed him in any way. So whenever Hiccup is able to not be in dragon training, he is back in the woods, making friends with the Night Fury that he's named Toothless. The dragon is unable to escape from the little gorge it's fallen into, and so Hiccup is just there exploring and learning. One of the things Hiccup does, for example, is he's drawing something in the sand, with a stick. Toothless decides to copy him, So he grabs a much larger stick, more like a tree trunk, and draws his own random pattern of lines. When Hiccup is assessing Toothless's art, he steps on a line and the dragon growls at him like he's ruining the art. But when Hiccup does a dance and only steps on the space between the lines, Toothless is much more approving that he's not ruining the art. Now, speaking of drawing, another thing that Hiccup did was he put a sketch of Toothless the Night Fairy into his journal. And in doing that, he discovers that his back tail only has wing on one side, which is probably why he can't fly properly and get out of the gorge. So Hiccup uses his crafting skills to build a wing part for Toothless. And once that wing part has been attached to the dragon, he has his first ride with Toothless. Now, it doesn't go very seamlessly. It's a mess, to be honest. So later on, he comes back with a saddle that he's built. I don't remember the exact details of that one. But when he's able to put that on the dragon and ride on his back more easily, more comfortably, then it goes a lot nicer for all of the future rides that they go on. So I mentioned that Hiccup was learning a lot while hanging out with Toothless, and he's putting that learning to the test in his dragon training. Everything that is in the book is fairly wrong. The tribe does not have the right information on those pages, but Hiccup does have the right information from what he's learning through hanging out with Toothless. Everyone thought that he would be the worst one by far at this dragon training, at this dragon slaying, but actually he is shockingly, surprisingly the best. For example, Hiccup learns that dragons are scared of eels. He tried to offer Toothless some food, and Toothless only wanted the fish. When he grabbed an eel, he backed away in fear. Dragons sneeze from dandelions. When you have those little white bits floating in the air, they'll sneeze. They like getting scratches. They're kind of like you put a dog behind their ear, that one spot. Dragons like that too. They run from light. If you bounce the sun just right off of your shield, it can blind them. So he's using all of that to his advantage to best the dragons in the arena. Also, speaking of fish, there's a scene where Hiccup has only brought Toothless one singular fish. This is before the day with the giant basket, multiple fish, and the eel that scared him. But anyway, Toothless eats that one fish. Then he goes over to Hiccup and spits out the head on his lap. And then he just stares at him, looking expectantly. So Hiccup takes the spat out fish head, bites into it, and then swallows a bite of it. The whole thing is relatively disgusting, but I guess it's a bonding moment. I don't know. He did it at least. So now we are nearing the end of dragon training. His dad and the other Vikings who had left previously on a journey, they have now come back, and his dad is just now hearing the news of how great his son is in the arena. So to honor that he's happy his son is doing so well, he decides it's time to give him a gift. That gift is a hat, the classic horned Viking hat. And it's a matching hat to the one that he always wears. And I can't stop calling this breast hat because it is a hat made from his mother's breastplate. Like the breastplate of the mother's armor, that is what has made the hat. So for the dad to wear it, aka the husband, that seems very reasonable. For the kid to wear it, I don't know, at least to me it feels a little more awkward, but he has a nice gift of mother's breast hat. So when it is announced who will be top player out of all the students that are in dragon training with Hiccup, he is the one to win the honor. He's the one that receives the title. Now, he is sad to get it. He is upset because, as we know, he cannot kill. He will not bring himself to do it. He's learning that their culture is wrong towards what they think about dragons. And then on the flip side, everybody else in the class is mad. They're angry because they did want the title. They want to slay. They don't know what he knows. They wanted to do it. So no one is happy about that choice. Overall, just bad vibes. So now we're at the scene where Astrid has followed Hiccup. She knows where he's going, what he's doing, and that Toothless exists. At first, she of course wants to kill him. She pulls out her sword and he growls, but Hiccup manages to get her to back away on that. At first, Toothless picks her up and brings her to a cliff where she's hanging over the edge, and she's rightfully terrified, but eventually she does climb up on his back and they go for a flight. At first, it's fairly terrifying to her, but eventually, when she does apologize, the rest of the flight is a lot calmer and a lot nicer. While Toothless and Hiccup are flying with Astrid, the three of them end up discovering the dragon nest, the elusive nest that these Vikings have been looking for and failing time after time. In fact, that's where they were trying to go on the journey I had previously mentioned. They're trying to find the nest yet again. But it turns out that only a dragon can find the nest, and so that explains why they have not been succeeding. But anyway, the thing that Hiccup learns is that the nest operates similar to a beehive. They have a queen dragon, and every other dragon is the worker bee, to keep the analogy. When they are stealing food from the Vikings, when they are attacking the Vikings, all of this stuff, it is just so that they can save themselves. It is either feed the queen or be the food. If she is not pleased by what is being offered, then she will eat that dragon instead. You failed me? Die. So the three of them, having found the nest in a volcano, I almost forgot to mention, Astrid wants to go running to Hiccup's dad, the chief, and be like, yo, this is what we know, this is what we found. She wants to give him the news that will be very helpful to the fight overall. But Hiccup is hesitant to do that. He really does not want to because he's nervous that his dad will kill Toothless. Everything he's been doing with the Night Fury will of course have to be revealed, and it can only end badly. So he asks Astrid to keep a secret until he can find some time to formulate a plan for if/how they are going to reveal this. Shockingly, Astrid does agree to keep it secret. So now it is finally time for the epic Slayer final battle, which is more of a battle in air quotes, because Hiccup is not actually going to be fighting, killing, or wounding this dragon. He's going to drop his shield, he's going to drop his knife, and he's going to do everything he's been learning through hanging out with Toothless. The eels, the sun, the dandelions, you name it, he's going to use his tricks to push the dragon back into the cage without having to actually harm it. Now, I forget exactly the details of who does or says what, but something ends up going wrong during this battle, and that is where Toothless comes in. The Night Fury just flies to the rescue because he can sense that something is wrong with Hiccup. Now, when the Night Fury arrives into the arena, of course the town goes crazy, and they're trying to subdue Toothless, they're trying to kill Toothless. They don't know anything other than kill dragons bad. So eventually there's a bunch of men, and they're pinning Toothless to the ground. They've got him surrounded on all sides. There's no way that he's going to be moving. And Hiccup is very concerned, upset, worried by all this, and he's trying to be like, don't kill him, don't kill him, don't kill him. And obviously Toothless does not get killed, but that whole scene is not good. Not good for the dragon, not good for Hiccup, not good for the emotionally invested viewers. After the failure of a battle, Hiccup is having a conversation with his father. One of the things his dad says is, quote, "You're not my son." And there are many scenes before and after this exact one where the dad has given us total whiplash throughout the movie. Half the time he's saying, "I'm proud of you, you are my son," and the other half he's saying the exact opposite. "You're not my son, I'm not proud of you." Like, it's crazy. Do you care about him or do you not? Do you approve of and like his actions or do you hate them? Like, he's back and forth throughout the whole movie of whether to like Hiccup and accept him for who he is, or whether you hate him for being the weakling that can't kill. It's during that conversation that Hiccup will accidentally reveal the truth about the nest, what he found, what he learned, the fact that only a dragon can find it, which is why you've been failing, so on and so forth. And so we cut to a scene of Toothless on a boat. He's got his wings tied down, he's got a muzzle on his mouth, he's trapped prisoner in his boat to lead the Vikings to the nest they're now going on another journey to try again and find this nest. And how scared Toothless looks, how uncomfortable Toothless looks, it's very sad for the viewer. Like, it makes you almost want to cry because you feel bad for the treatment of this helpless creature. So in this battle at the nest, the first thing that Hiccup goes to do is, of course, to free Toothless from his binds inside the boat. But as he's trying to undo all the knots, open all the chains, whatever the case may be, the boat is struck by a fireball, breaks into shards, and Toothless, who's still connected to the constraints, he can't fly away or anything, starts sinking underwater. So Hiccup is now trying to hold his breath and undo all of these bindings under the water. When all of a sudden his dad swims down and pulls him up. And I am thinking, hell no, how dare you, Chief? You're gonna let Toothless die, I hate you. But then, instantly, we see the dad dive back underwater and undo those restraints himself, freeing and saving Toothless. We instantly go from dad no to dad yes. We also learn during this battle that the fire that Toothless shoots, which is purple, and that's epic. I love that it's purple, beautiful. It can literally rip holes in things. Like, if it was to hit a boat sail, there'd be a hole. If it was to hit a dragon's wing, a different dragon, it would literally rip a hole in the skin and leave a gaping thing. Like, it's an epic power, and it was insane to see it in action. I loved every time he would spit the fire. At the end of the battle, everyone thinks that Hiccup has fallen and is a casualty of the fight. The dad is literally almost crying, in fact. But when Toothless lifts his wing, you can see that Hiccup is safely underneath of him. He is totally fine and alive. Well, actually asterisk on fine, because when he wakes up in his house a few days later, you can see that he only has one leg. It's been amputated off and he has a little metal stump. But overall, he's totally fine. He has survived and it's nothing to be concerned about. The shocking thing is that he's in his house and Toothless is also in his house. So at first he's like, what the hell? Does my dad know you're here? Ah. But upon opening the door, he sees all of these dragons hanging out and chilling in the city. All of these dragons flying around with people on them. And he's like, what is going on? But it turns out that he inspired a revolution. The Vikings had no way to get home because their boats were burned to shreds. So guess what they did? They rode dragons. And in the time that Hiccup's been passed out asleep, everything has changed. Now dragons are friends. Now dragons are pets. He got exactly what he wanted. Nobody has to kill a dragon. And everyone's gonna get along with them in harmony. Also, speaking of getting what he wants, he finally gets a kiss. Like, full on the lips, phenomenal, from Astrid. I don't know if they're officially boyfriend-girlfriend. You'd have to watch the sequel to know that. And obviously they have not done a live-action sequel yet, assuming they're gonna. So I'm talking the animated, but hopefully they are, because I ship. I totally am for it. Now, the overall soundtrack of the movie, the entire thing was instrumentals. Not a single lyric, but I didn't care. I didn't mind because it was incredible. It was phenomenal. It was amazing. I loved every single song. My favorite one is called Test Driving Toothless. I looked up the album on Spotify. I needed to find that one specific song, and I did. So I listened to it on repeat. I've only heard it like maybe 3 or 4 times so far, but I'm probably going to hear it a lot more in the coming days. The last thing I wanted to point out is that I think this movie is way more wholesome, way more adorable, way more emotional, all of those kinds of things, than compared to the animated. I don't know why, but something about the live action just felt way more wholesome and sweet than the animated one. Now granted, I could be crazy because I have not seen the animated one for years and years, so it is very possible I just misremember. But I absolutely loved this movie, and I want to say that I dare think it's better than the original animated. Now, in terms of it being better than the original animated, that is my own personal opinion, and if you personally think that the animated is better, then that is totally fine. There's a YouTuber I watch, his name is Matthias. If you've heard of High Five, Dope or Nope, Team Edge, that kind of thing, you'll know who I mean. but he made a video also reviewing this movie. I'll link it below in the description if you want to go watch his. But he mentioned that the animated version is one of him and his wife's favorite movie. And there are some parts of the live action that to him just fell flat. So he much prefers the animated. So like I said, each their own opinion. He can love the animated, I can love the live action. There's something for everyone. So it is now time for my official rating of the movie. I want to say that I highly, highly, highly recommend this movie. It was beyond insane, incredible, amazing, awesome. And whether you go to theaters, whether you wait to watch it at home, I don't care. You just have to see it. If you've seen the original, you know what you're getting into. If you haven't seen the original, who cares? You can still enjoy this movie as a standalone. I kind of want to say that it's on my favorite movies of all time list, but even so, I don't want to give it a full 100% score because it is just a remake of a movie that already exists. DreamWorks is now hopping on the trend that Disney has been doing for years. I'm hopeful they'll do the rest of the series, make live action How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3, but I'm not sure. Will they maybe one day do Shrek? Like at a certain point with these live action remakes, where do we draw the line? Why are we even doing them? As much as I loved it. So I'm only going to give it a 9.5 as my final official score, but that still is very, very, very high. That's now going to wrap up this movie review for How to Train Your Dragon live action. If you enjoyed it, please drop a big like down below. Subscribe if you're new so you don't miss any of my future content. Check me out on social media, always linked in the description. If you've already seen this movie, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And aloha till next time!